Now, the third International Conference on Financing for Development will take place July 13th to the 16th in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Stakeholders will discuss how to secure funding for sustainable development goals expected to be adopted by the United Nations in September. Among the attendees will be Faustine Wabwire, Senior Foreign Assistance Policy Analyst at the Bread for the World Institute. Ms. Wabwire, welcome to Africa 54.
Thank you, Vincent.
Now, we have mentioned that a little bit, but just give us a sense of the objective of this conference in Addis Ababa.
So the third International Financing for Development Conference aims to achieve an agreed intergovernmental support for the upcoming Sustainable Development Goals. It's essentially about determining how to finance the next global development agenda starting this year until 2030.
Yeah, so someone will want to know who else is going to be there besides you.
Well, there will be myself, and then there will be, it's actually a pretty high-level representation from heads of states and government to ministers of finance and foreign affairs. The business community is a big part of this agenda, as well as civil society. Yeah,
you know, when many people in Africa hear about raising finance, they think of the IMF, the World Bank, donors in the West. Who are you actually talking about here when you think about raising funds?
So what's interesting about the point of development that we are at right now is shifting away from externally driven resources for development purposes to include domestically raised revenues, to include private financial flows, which, by the way, constitute a big part of the development budget today. And so all of these different sources of financing are going to come together to hopefully create a way that enables the global community to achieve the ambitious goals that we have set ourselves towards.
But again, you're looking at a continent that has about 54 countries with different levels of economic development. In terms of capacity, is this something that is really viable in every country across the continent?
I think first I'll just say that country-led development, sustainable development will not happen unless countries themselves are able to drive that development, which is why I think strengthening the institutions at the local level, both the public sector and private sector, civil society, citizens, to engage collectively to drive their own development agenda. Bread for the World Institute is just about to publish a paper about strengthening local capacity and the fact that to achieve development outcomes that are sustainable, it begins at the local level.
So, but again, this is first recognizing what is the problem that you have, the level of poverty in your country. What is the potential you have to deal with that poverty locally, and what are the resources you possess? So do you get the sense that those policymakers, those individual nations are kind of getting a grip on this issue, making that assessment and kind of determining to use their own resources to do that? Or is this what you want to persuade them to do?
Actually, there's already a lot of momentum on that, at least from the continent. I know there's the Common African Position, which exactly speaks on that. The recognition that there is big opportunity for African countries to strengthen their own institutions so that they can better generate their revenues, in addition to support that they will need from development partners. And the Common African Position actually stipulates that the role of official development assistance, which, by the way, many countries still need, the role of the private sector, and then philanthropies. There's a lot of resources there, but I don't think that they're being channeled or harnessed to the level that they should be.
Very quickly, where are we today in terms of fighting poverty? There is that goal of 2030, eliminating poverty. How realistic?
You know, from the progress that we've seen over the last 15 years with the Millennium Development Goals, goal setting clearly shows that it pays. The world has been able to track some of these goals. The goal of reducing poverty in half was actually achieved in 2010. That's 10 years ahead of its target of the year 2015. The hunger goal has made tremendous progress. It's complicated, but it's within reach, which is why the new set of goals, the Sustainable Development Goals, then gives us the opportunity to finish the unfinished agenda of the MDGs, if you will.
Very quickly, are there like very short-term assessment of how quickly or how far are we in achieving those goals?
So different countries have performed different, as you can imagine. The capacities that you talked about present a mixed picture.
Yeah.
Some countries are far along on other goals than others are. The biggest challenge to date is in fragile states, and we're seeing a massive increase on fragility. We have the largest refugee number to date.
Okay.
So fragile states need specialized attention.
And you'll come to tell us a little more about that when you come back from that conference.
Thank you.
Faustine, thank you very much for joining us today. Faustine Wabwire is a senior foreign assistance policy analyst at the Bread for the World Institute.